Well, another week, another Peacemaker episode to discuss. Let's get into it. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Welcome back into JC's Movies, where you can see all kind of movies and TV series content here with me, JC, particularly comedy, horror, and of course superheroes, as we'll be talking today with another Peacemaker episode recap here on the channel. But if those things are up your alley like they're up mine, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Follow the channel here. Get these Peacemaker reviews each week as we put them out here, following each episode that comes out on Thursdays. We've been trying to drop these every Friday with these Peacemaker episode recaps, and we'll of course cover the DCU extensively, as that's my favorite thing here on the channel, is covering DC superhero stuff, especially Superman. And we get some Superman references even in this Peacemaker episode, which was a pretty cool tie in the DCU together in this one. So I'll be covering that a lot. And of course, like I said, comedy and superhero movies. And while you're in here, if you just take a second, hit the thumbs up button, help us out with that crazy YouTube algorithm, helps us find other fans of movies like yourself or other fans of the Peacemaker series. They can find these episode recaps as well. So with that being said, and with no further ado, my spiel's out of the way, let's get into talking about the episode itself. Let's dive into the episode recap for season 2, episode 3 of Peacemaker. All right, season 2, episode 3 of Peacemaker. Another Rick up my sleeve. Nice little wordplay in the title. Nice little pun, whatever you want to call it there, by James Gunn, who of course wrote the episode again and for the second straight week, directed by Greg Mottola. This one I really liked, just like the first and second episode. Thought that this one had a lot more story and heart to it. There were some decent moments of comedy, but I think, overall you probably got more comedy in the first and second episode. But I really like about this episode is that it really pushed the story forward a good bit, I think. And another cliffhanger ending. We'll talk about that here as we go through the episode, but just kind of a quick rundown. I just finished watching the episodes. Let me run back through kind of what I recall from it, because the main thing, of course, is that this one pretty much takes place solely in the other dimension, especially for Peacemaker. We do get some, cuts to scenes every now and then. They're taking place in, the main dimension with, Economos and Harcourt, Adebayo, Vigilante, some stuff in there with those guys. But for the most part, we're in the other dimension where Chris is, of course, just as we speculated on our recap here at the end of episode 2, was in that dimension, was on that other phone, messaging Harcourt of that universe, and of course goes to meet up with her in this episode. It's kind of the crux of it where it starts is him decide to go meet her. His brother wakes him up. Supposed to go meet her at noon. It's like 11:30 in the morning. So, rushes to go meet her, has to put on the silk shirt and leather pants and the chain and stuff, dressing like the Peacemaker of this universe. And we find out a little bit about him throughout the episode. When we get there to, the meeting, we see that she's with Rick Flag, who in this universe, I got to give it to Joel Kinnaman, man, because I'm not going to lie, I've not been the biggest fan of his. Well, I hated the RoboCop reboot. He wasn't the best in that, in my opinion. And, he was kind of just like a hard ass character in the Suicide Squad movies, take it or leave it, whatever. But here, I thought he delivered some good comedy. His character in this dimension's a lot different, and he had some like clumsiness to him and stuff, and it was pretty funny. It's like when Peacemaker gets there, he confronts him right away, and then he's sitting there trying to watch him, and it's like he's trying to spy on him, but it seems like he's terrible at it. So it's definitely like, a complete 180, polar opposite to the character that we've known of Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad movies and stuff. But I really liked the performance from Joel Kinnaman. That was some of the good comedy there came from him. But nonetheless, they end up going out because, they want to get away because he's in there spying on them. So they go out and meet and they talk. And that's when we find out a little bit about the backstory, where it seems like the Peacemaker of this universe cheated on Harcourt. That's why they're not together. We've also found out through the brother that he has some issues with taking pills and stuff. And so it seems like he's, even more of a dickhead like type character, douchebag type character than the Peacemaker we know in the main universe. But she still has feelings for him, and I got to give a shout out to James Gunn's wife, Jennifer Holland, in this episode. I thought she gave a great performance because we're seeing her in the main universe, and then we're seeing her in this dimension, and she gives, two kind of polar opposite performances. I thought, this dimension's version of Harcourt seems to be, a lot more sweet, loving type character, that type of stuff. And you can tell she still has feelings for Peacemaker, willing to work it out with him if he's not going to break her heart again, is basically what that comes down to. So we're getting that conversation, we're getting that backstory. While back in the main universe, we're learning that Argus there, Economos, we do get the brief little cameo from Tim Meadows' character. They're going to Peacemaker's house to try and arrest him if he has a portal, for one, because they consider that a big deal. So they're going there to his house again, and they're rolling up there is kind of what we're learning throughout the episode. And so while Peacemaker's in the other universe, which we found out he loves, not only is his brother there, which we've gotten to see, but now he finds out he's got his P bike, I think is what he calls, I think is what his brother calls it there, his motorcycle there, and he's out on it. And while he's driving to go meet Harcourt, he realizes, oh wow, people really love me in this universe. People are shouting him out. There's a kid crying. He's so happy to see him. A lady flashes him, all kinds of crazy shit. So we learn that Peacemaker, and I'm sure the entire superhero trio of him, his father, and his brother are all loved in this universe as he goes to meet Harcourt. So as that meeting's going on, and we learn kind of the backstory there and get to see their kind of interaction there, which I thought was really cool. All of a sudden, someone falls that's running past them, and boom, a bomb goes off, and we learn that it's these guys setting off bombs. They've set off bombs in other places around the community, like government buildings or whatever, I believe is what they're targeting, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to remember off the top of my head. So obviously Peacemaker's going to spring into action, right? And go in there and try and stop this thing. There's like 9 or 10 guys, and he runs into the building to try and stop them from blowing this thing up. They also have a hostage up there that they're holding, at knife point at the window. And I think this is the first time, that I can remember seeing Chris Smith, the Peacemaker character, go to work without his suit. And they kind of mention it in the episode as well. He doesn't have his helmet that does all the cool shit for him or anything like that. We're just seeing him going in, boom, and we find out, okay, he's still a badass even without the suit. We get some, what I would put at the equivalent of like 90s action movie badassery here throughout the action scenes here in episode 3, when he's going in there and taking out each person by person that's with this team trying to bomb this place. The Sons of Liberty, I believe, is what they're known as here in this universe. And they're setting up a bomb, and he comes in there, takes them out one by one. Great gore, great effects there. And like I said, felt like a 90s action movie throughout those scenes. You see a knife in the eye, you see him attack somebody with 2 pencils, all kinds of crazy shit there. So I really like those action sequences through there. And of course, he stops the bomb from happening. And once I realized what was going on, and I remember we were in that universe, I was waiting. I was like, when are the dad and the brother going to show up? We don't get Peter Weller in this episode, but the brother does show up, David Denman's character, and helps him there at the end. He destroys the chopper that was kind of the escape vehicle for the people that were there in the bomb squad after Peacemaker taking out all the bomb squad people or whatever. And so then, gets to have that moment with his brother. And then we get a nice heartfelt moment near the end of the episode with him and his brother confronts him, asks him if he's still taking the pills and stuff. He's like, no, I'm different now. And, which is basically the same stuff that he kind of told Harcourt. And Harcourt's messaging him and saying, hey, did you think about what we talked about earlier about, if we were going to get back together, you can't break my heart again. And he's like, yes, I'll let you know soon. I got some business to take care of. And at that point, I'm like, oh, shit, he's about to go back through the portal to the main universe. And we know what's been going on there. They're preparing to go to his house. And that's our cliffhanger for this episode, is we see Peacemaker heading to the portal, and we know that Tim Meadows, Economos, the people over there at Argus are pulling up at Peacemaker's house to possibly arrest him and find out about this portal shit. So it looks like they're going to meet up, and what I'm probably expecting, he's going to be stuck in the main universe wanting to get back to what he's called the best dimension ever, and go back to that other dimension where him and Harcourt are hitting it off, and he's got his brother and all of that, and he's going to be probably arrested and stuck in this universe here. And obviously that's going to cause tension between him and Harcourt, tension between him and his brother, and probably his father as well. We're going to think he's on drugs again, and then of course not getting to follow through with what he's trying to set up with Harcourt. So that's kind of what we've set up for the future with the cliffhanger here, and where the probably tension is going to come from moving forward. Like I said, not a ton of laughs in this episode. You do get brief moments of Vigilante being hilarious. He's talking about what was he talking about? That one episode he was talking about Alfax. This episode he was talking about Spider Facts, because he said one of his biggest secrets was he was a fan of spiders. So we do get some good comedy moments from that in the brief scenes that we get in the main dimension here versus the dimension that we're having a lot of the episode take place in. But overall, still a great episode. I thought well done again by James Gunn. Like I said, more heart to this one, a lot more story building, a lot more expository stuff, learning kind of the backstories of the characters in the other dimension, which was nice. Maybe not as much comedy, which, feel about that as you may, but I really still enjoyed the episode personally. Can't wait for episode 4 next week, and can't wait to recap another one with you guys here on the channel on JC's Movies. But those are just my thoughts. Would still love to hear yours. Let me know your opinion of episode 3 here of Peacemaker, or of the series as it's been thus far in season 2. Let me know how you're feeling about it. Whatever you got there, appreciate those interactions. Drop them in the comment section. Help us grow the community here on the JC's Movies channel. Having said that, I appreciate you tuning into this one, and I will catch you on the next one.